All right, let's unpack this. We've got this great set of notes you shared covering some Indonesian language basics, greetings, vocab, grammar.
Right.
But there's this one bit tucked away, sort of mystery, that really caught our eye. It starts with a simple language question, but, well, it goes somewhere unexpected.
Exactly. It kicks off with just figuring out, when do you switch from saying good day to good afternoon? And suddenly you're looking at local folklore and some pretty deep-rooted cultural beliefs.
It really snowballs, doesn't it? So, okay, our mission here is, yes, pull out the key language points from these notes, definitely.
Sure.
But maybe more importantly, connect those points to this surprising cultural thread. It's about giving you a richer sense beyond just vocab lists of how language is this window.
Window into a whole worldview.
Yeah. So where did the notes start us off?
With a dialogue, which is great. You see the language actually being used, and right away there's this little puzzle. Someone's not quite sure when to switch from Selamat siang.
Right. Good day to Selamat sore. Good afternoon.
And the guess in the dialogue is what? Around 4 p.m.?
Yeah, Sekitar jam and Patsor. Yeah. Around 4 p.m., which, that feels pretty logical, right? Based on how we often divide the day.
It seems standard enough.
Yeah.
But then you get the twist.
The twist, yes. The notes describe this encounter, meeting a woman, and it's 7:30 in the evening.
7:30 p.m., very specific.
And she says, Selamat pagi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
At 7:30 at night.
Okay, that's definitely odd. A bit strange.
It is. And the reaction in the dialogue, this is the bit that jumped out, was maybe she was a vampire.
Right. That specific response, a vampire.
Yeah. It seems like maybe just a joke, right? A quick, funny reaction to something weird.
Could be.
But as you dig into these notes, you start to think, maybe it's not just a random joke. It's like a little hint towards this whole cultural backdrop.
And understanding why someone might even jokingly reach for that explanation. Well, that's where some of the language tools in the notes actually help. Yeah, the vocabulary section, it gives us words to talk about situations exactly like this. Like the word ane. The notes translate it as strange. Perfect, right? For a good morning at 7:30 p.m.
Totally. And the notes even give that sample sentence. Orang itu aneh sekali. That person is very strange.
Exactly. And there are other useful words listed too, like duga.
Yeah, to suspect or to guess, which is what the person was doing about the 4 p.m. timing.
Or waktu for time, sekitar for around, used in that guess.
And the key word for the vampire theory, mungkin. Mungkin. Perhaps. Or maybe. Mungkin dia vampire. Maybe she was a vampire. It's exactly how you'd phrase that kind of off-the-wall speculation.
And this idea of dealing with strangeness, with uncertainty, that ties nicely into the grammar section the notes cover, doesn't it? Expressing doubt.
Oh, absolutely. Because the whole thing started with someone feeling unsure. The notes give the phrase, saya masih tidak yakin.
I'm still not sure.
Tentang waktu yang tepat. About the right time. It explicitly shows you how to express that lack of certainty. And it offers other ways too, like saya rasa, for I think that.
Right, like the example, saya rasa dia akan hadir. I think that he will attend. You're stating an opinion, but maybe not with 100% confidence.
It's a softer way of putting it.
Then there's namun for however to show a contradiction.
Yeah, the example was dia sudah datang. Namun saya tidak bisa menemukannya. He has arrived, however I can't find him. Which Kind of fits that feeling when something doesn't quite line up, like the greeting time.
It does. And there are a few others listed for doubt. Saya ragu.
I doubt.
Saya tidak percaya.
I don't believe.
And sepertinya.
It seems, or it looks like.
Yeah, with examples like, saya masih tidak yakin dengan apa yang dia katakan. I'm still not sure of what he said.
Or, ini tempatnya, namun tidak ada orang di sini. This is the place, however, there's no one here. It all reinforces how you talk about things that feel off or uncertain or just plain a nay.
Strange.
Yeah. The notes also quickly mention formal versus informal verbs, like mengungkapkan as the formal way to say versus the more common bilang.
And bertemu for to meet formally versus ketemu.
It's a good reminder that, language has different registers, though maybe if you think you've just met a vampire, formality isn't your top priority.
Probably not. So, okay, we've got the language from the notes for describing strangeness, for guessing, for expressing doubt when things are weird. Now let's go back to that vampire comment.
Right.
Because the notes draw a direct line from that kind of thinking to the cultural insights section.
They do. And this part gets really interesting. It talks about beliefs in supernatural creatures, explaining that Indonesia has this incredibly rich, diverse mythology.
Yeah, rooted in local folklore, passed down often by word of mouth, varying across all the different islands and regions. It's not just one single set of stories.
Yeah, exactly. The notes give examples from different places. Orang Bunyan and Pilicit from Sumatera.
The Barong and Leek from Bali, those are quite well known.
And Ibu Gogo from Nusa Tenggara. Just a few examples of the variety.
But then it lists some specific figures from Java. Let's see. Jenderua, Jalangkong, Pokong, Tuyul, Sendabelang, Jenglot.
Names that might ring a bell if you're into Indonesian horror films or stories.
Yeah.
Pokong especially.
Definitely. But the notes highlight one figure in particular, described as known by everybody in Java.
And this is where it connects back in a way to that strange encounter. This figure is Nyi Roro Kidul.
Nyi Roro Kidul. The notes say she's a legendary figure believed to be the ruling queen of the Indian Ocean, the South Sea, basically.
A powerful figure in Javanese mythology.
And there's this very specific belief the notes detail about her. It involves her favorite color. Green. The belief is if you wear green along the southern coast, the Indian Ocean coast, you risk being dragged down to her palace under the sea.
To become her servant or soldier. It's quite a specific warning.
It really is. And what's amazing, what makes this more than just an old wives' tale, is the real world impact mentioned in the notes.
Yeah, this part is fascinating. The belief is apparently so strong, so persistent,
that hotels and inns along the southern coast of Java, and even Bali, actually set aside rooms, empty rooms specially decorated for her, for the queen.
Rooms reserved for Nyi Roro Kidul, just in case she decides to visit.
Wow. I mean, having a physical space dedicated like that in a modern hotel, that really shows how tangible these beliefs can be. That detail from the notes is incredible.
It absolutely does. It shows folklore isn't just, stories told in the dark. It can actually shape physical spaces and ongoing practices.
So bringing it all back together, that initial, maybe she was a vampire comment, probably said lightly.
Most likely, yeah. Humorous way to react.
But it makes so much more sense when you understand from these notes that references to the supernatural, to figures like Nyi Roro Kidul and others, are just woven into the cultural fabric. They're part of the shared understanding.
Exactly. This whole dive through the notes really hammers home that learning a language isn't just about memorizing words and grammar rules off a page.
No, not at all.
It's just as much, maybe more, about grasping the cultural context, the shared jokes, the local legends, the beliefs that underpin everything.
Absolutely. Because knowing that stuff, it changes how you understand interactions. It helps you make sense of things that might otherwise just seem, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Strange.
Like getting a good morning at 7:30 p.m. Suddenly it's not just a weird mistake. It might tap into this whole other layer of cultural reference, even if said jokingly. It adds depth.
What a journey just from this few pages of notes, huh? Started with, when do I say good afternoon? Ended up discussing the language of doubt, legendary ocean queens, and hotels keeping rooms ready for spirits.
It's a fantastic example of how tightly language and culture are intertwined. You can't really understand one without the other.
You really can't, and it leaves you thinking, doesn't it? If a belief like the one in Nyiro Kidul is strong enough for hotels to physically reserve and decorate rooms for her, what other ways do a culture's folklore and belief systems, even today, subtly shape customs, practices, maybe even architecture or city planning in ways we don't immediately notice?
That's a great question. How deep do those roots really go in shaping the visible world?
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.